Blessed love, my Lord and Empress. Give thanks and praise for life and the mighty life giver. Holy Emmanuel, I, Selassie, I, Jah,
Rastafari.
Yes, royal family, give thanks. This is Honorable Prophet Daniel here, the African Liberation Network. And we have a very special guest with us, big brother to me, elder, and, someone who I've met and, spent a little time with and, great company and a great brethren, he's been an inspiration to me and I'm sure thousands of other people, as a educator, as an entrepreneur, as a father, on a lot of levels, just a good man, our guest tonight is Honorable Priest Isaac, and we're going to reason and get to know the brethren and also go into some things, regarding, African liberation, because the education, as His Majesty showed us, is very, very important when it comes to liberation. Because his example, being the Minister of Education for his country, it shows us that it's really something we should take seriously. So someone like Honorable Priest Isaac, who is a researcher, amongst other things, and shares his information, is very important to our development as a people. So yeah, with that being said, I'd like to welcome Honorable Priest Isaac. Blessed love, my Lord.
Yes, Majesty, give thanks. Glorify all praises, I will just give a word sound in prayer and ask for reverence and for glory be. Holy Emmanuel I, Selassie I, Jah, Rastafari, glory be to our Father and to the Son and to the Holy One of creation, as Jah was in the beginning, is now and ever shall be, Jehovah without end. Selassie I, Jah. Rastafari. Together we walk and together we talk and together we wash one another's feet. The mighty God, King Selassie I, Jah, Rastafari. Yes, my Lord and Majesty and Empresses, Prince and Princess. Yes, God and King, we do give thanks for Emperor Haile Selassie, the first blessings. And of course, we give thanks for the Ethiopia Africa Black International Congress Church of True Divine Salvation, and give thanks for this royal priesthood, which was founded by our God officially in 1958, but even as he teaches from the 1940s, he's carrying this banner of right. And of course, we speak of the Honorable King Emmanuel Charles Edwards, who have set this foundation and opened the doors, even from such time, as I said, 1958, in what they call the slums, Bacawal 54B Spanish Town Road, and even has established his headquarters 9 miles out of the city to fulfill the words of Marcus Messiah Garvey, 10 miles Bull Bay. And of course, as he teaches, we're not stagnant at all, for we're moving on to Africa in the fullness, where we shall set up our standard and a tabernacle in every state of Africa. So Ethiopia is the destination, the full destination and the full headquarters in time to come. But we give thanks because it's from lowland to highland and from highlands to highland. So we are very honored to be a part of this order, this Congress. We glorify Marcus Messiah Garvey in all doings and saying, the terrible God that go before and open the doors and cut and clear and glorify the humble spirit that come and even sit with our Father, as far as Father and Mother of creation, King Alpha and Queen Omega, the full God and Goddess with us. In their holy names, we definitely give thanks and greet the people in the name of love. Holy Emmanuel I, Selassie, Jah, Rastafari. Yes, my Lord.
Yeah, give thanks, for the word of right. Give thanks for the prayer. Yes, Honorable Priest, give thanks for the high presence, here with us on the African Liberation Network. It definitely is a privilege to be on this side of the interview at this moment, being that I've been, in the tiger's nest a few times, now we doing it a different way, but, give thanks for the reason. Give thanks for the brotherhood of God, Yeah, and give thanks for words of right, Yes, my Lord. So I would like to start off the reasoning, the interview, by asking the eye to kind of give I and the listeners, viewers, a little background information about yourself, you know, being that the eye is a researcher and the one who, you know, nowadays you're a teacher, you know, internationally, someone who's a lecturer, but, you know, you teach a lot of different things, astronomy, you know, spirituality, metaphysics, science, all different types of science, you know, anatomy and all kind of every aspect of life. I mean, being, you know, the owner, the brain behind the Priest Isaac's Institute of Holistic Knowledge, you know, just kind of help us to understand what brought you, like, how did your life go to bring you to being who you are today? You know, and, you know, up until, I guess, about the Bobo Shanti, you can explain what, a little bit of the background, but also in it's becoming a Bobo Shanti, and, you know, flow as you wish, my Lord.
Well, you know, give thanks again, my Lord and Majesty, and give thanks for all coming in. What is mystic is that I think when I was, would it be 40? I think it would be 42. Yeah, so that's like a few years ago, a couple of years ago, I reached to the point where I would have strike the balance. I think it was 42 because I would have held on to the faith officially. Just getting my dates correctly. No, I think it was 40. Yeah, 40. Before I was 21, I held on to Rastafari. Just a month before. Exactly a month. I'm actually calculating everything as I speak to you. Exactly a month before I was 21, I held on to Rastafari. So when I became 42, I saw that as the point in my life where I've lived half my life Rastafari and half something else. Mm-hmm. So after that, now I've gone into a next realm since that, wherein most of my life thus far has been of Rastafari. So born 1976, the 2nd day of January, and right here where I am in the island of Antigua. And, you know, I never really grew up with any brothers, it was sisters, but my family structure was a little mystic one, but still I consider myself extremely blessed. You know, one of those situations where mother and father, for whatever reason, kind of parted at an early stage. And when I was about maybe 5 or so years of age. But both of these individuals who have now passed on, you know, especially as an adult looking at it properly, I'm very thankful that I was brought into the world and to be their children specifically, you know. I'm not one of them people that have any complaints at all, whether it be about my father or any, you know, I was well taken care of. They did their utmost best to make sure whatever track you know, I was supposed to be on, or whatever they thought track I was supposed to be on, that would be the case. So really, even as a child, I always had this vibration about knowing the Almighty God. That was something that was very clear to me. Like I wanted to know who God was from a young age. So in a sense now, no real theological studying or anything. I know how much different outlooks of God there were. I mean, I was baptized in an Anglican church. Wasn't really no regular church goer, but I have a very good idea what goes on in the church. I've been there enough to know the runnings. I was confirmed, I think I was 12 or something like that when I was confirmed in the same Anglican church. And St. George's Anglican Church, I was baptized in St. John's Anglican Church, which is the capital's church. And somewhere around there after the confirmation, because I was pious too in that sense, and especially during that time of confirmation, yeah, man, I was, you know, I mean, going into it, nobody really forced my thought like that. My mother nor father were not, none of them were extremely religious. well, definitely not my father. My mother, my mother, very close. Let's just say her latter time, and not because something was happening with her age or health or anything. And in fact, let me give it more justice. In the last 20, 25 years of her life, she definitely dedicated herself to the Christian tradition. I know that for sure, differently than even when I was a younger youth. So when I was younger, I never really, it wasn't like a push, oh, you got to go to this church or whatever. But because I was always seeking God, and at the moment, I guess that was what was in front of me. So especially during that time of confirmation, I could clearly remember there was this piousness about me, But then something just started to shake. And I started to ask the Most High, to give me a clear vision of who he is. I really want to understand who he is. And then, of course, coming into the latter teens, something also started to show me that this Jesus thing is not the thing. Something not right with this at all. And I knew it wasn't that. But then now I was sent on a mission to find out exactly what it was. And now I think that is where the hardcore studying began. Prior to that, as I said, coming up, living between my mother and father's home, that was really like a double life because I'm the only child for the two of them, and I had my primary schooling in a school they call the Foundation Mixed School. And then I went on to the Antigua Grammar School after that. Of course, all of these different stages. I was also a member of the first Antigua's Boys Scout. And never really, you have Cub Scout and then you have the Boy Scout. So when I joined, I think I was maybe 9 or 10, and I basically went straight to the Scouts. So I can tell you, and I always give thanks for my Scout master, a man by the name of Mr. Theodore George. He's an elder now, still alive. And I could say, outside of my father, that individual there, that man there, has a lot to do with the man that I am today. I stayed in Scouts for a while till I became a venture Scout, until I became head Scout, to be honest. And so I would have gone on numerous of camps and pitched tent. And I mean, you may see me simple here. I can build a tower out of stick and a rope, and so and with a ladder and everything. I learned how to light fire without matches. A lot of things that I developed. Have all my badge, learn to cook. That's where I learned to cook as a Scout. So in a sense, I was brought into a kind of manhood, and I'm ever thankful, even though I had to wear them little funny clothes and do the little Freemason sign and do all the little thing. But it's just understanding, and I go to understand why I had to go through that. But I'm very thankful for that specific part of my life. It really have a lot to do with the man in me, that's for sure. Mm-hmm. So even coming out of that now, as I said, and leaving secondary school, and even before I left secondary school, the studying really began. The first book I received from leaving secondary school was a book called Rasta and Resistance. Mm-hmm. Now, even prior to that, I was already reading How to Eat to Live from Elijah Muhammad. I started to buy the books there. I bought the Black Man, what's the name of the book? One of the other big Elijah Muhammad books. The Black Man, and the full title is not there, but everybody should know the book.
Relationship of Blacks and Jews?
No, not that one there. No, that didn't come out as yet. Well, I don't think that was it definitely was not as popular as yet during this time. And I also got The Destruction of the Black Civilization. And then Egypt, the Light of the World, that was a book by Naim Akbar. And then I remember starting to go into the book by Carter G. Woodson, how to make a Negro, that's what it is. And then my mind started to open, you know. Then I got
how old are we talking? Pardon. How old are we talking you were this time you're reading these books?
Well, I'm already in my late teens there.
Okay.
So we're talking about 16, 17, 18. Right. That was me delving into knowledge, you know, 16 Crucified Saviors, all these books, and I buy them, you know, just wanting to know what the truth is. And then this was the day, this was a time of VHS. You know, this is before DVDs. So then we would collect a lot of different cassettes, video cassettes, and we'll get documentaries. The documentary that you see on YouTube now called The Lion of Judah, when Haile Selassie is coming out of the plane and they say, these people been here how many times and something.
Yes, sir.
I mean, I would have watched that. I almost believe I would have watched that at least. And I'm being very realistic. At least 13,000 times. I'm not just pulling it, I didn't say a million to make it sound a lot. I'm being very realistic.
Wow.
From that time till now, if I haven't watched that at least 13,000 times, because especially when I started the site Rastafari, that would just play over and over and over and over. I would just watch it and watch it and watch it and watch it and watch it. I'm surprised I don't know it by heart. Maybe I'm just not supposed to know that, but watch it and watch it and watch it. So, and that's the video, The Lion of the Tribe of Judah. So we're looking now, maybe 94. Yeah, 94 for sure. 94 was, to be honest, I think I didn't really accept officially the emperor yet because I have an official acceptance. I think I already did, you know, but because I was so particular theologically, I didn't lock the key yet, but I was very inquisitive, you know. In 94, 95, I was working. After leaving college, I went to work at a lumber yard, Jews lumber yard. And at that time, I was working with some brethren. The three of the brethren that I was working with come from an area called Old Road. Well, yeah, we know Old Road, around in the south of the island. Yes, and that's Clark, Seco, and Arthur. And the three of them is Rastaman. Yeah, the three of them is Rastaman. And they had a different, all of them have a different outlook, you know, because Clark and Seco were much younger. Clark was into a lot of music at the time. He was very strong in the Selassie thing, and he ain't playing, and he loved Garnet Silk. He really brought me into the Garnet Silk bike. He just said, boy, you need to listen to this man. And the Garnet Silk was coming out at that time. That's 94, so Garnet Silk was hot. You know, Garnet Silk even came here to Antigua. And because of that energy, that show also had a lot to do with a boost in me. Eh? I don't know, boy, but the Silk came out with an energy, you know. Capleton was supposed to be on that show too, because that's when Capleton just come out as Emmanuel live it every time. So Capleton was a big thing, but he and the promoter had some kind of problem backstage. He was there and he never came on. You understand? And so even when Garnet Silk was performing, the southern fence broke down and a whole crowd came in and a lot of people started to scatter. I was right in front, King, and I see it happening, you know, and I never moved. Never move. And I remember that night I went there with a brethren called Craig, and I stand up and I just listened to the whole show. I got a cassette of the show, and that cassette, man, I would just like the VHS, and man, I would wear that out and I would just play the Garnet Silk over and over, just kind of building a vibes, really, you know, at that time, and getting into this consciousness, starting the locks, put on my little locks underneath my head there, you know, and you know, them times there, it's a big chance of taking. Yeah, but yeah, that's what it was. Not like today, you know, because it was no fashion. When you do that, it's a sign. You're making it know that you're a rebel now. Rastafari you are. So, you know, my mother always quaked for that Rasta thing. You know, I gotta be straight. I really wasn't concerned. You know, when I started to feel all this time, I don't really accept it, you know, but I started to definitely ice gold and green. you know, stop the heavy shaving. I would have still do a little mark out, little thing, you know. But I definitely started to grow my beard seeking. And you could see the change. I would start to wear them beads with the Africa and put on the Black Power things. And I was definitely different, listening much more conscious reggae music. Yeah. You know what I mean? I would definitely go on a different level. I never partake in no marijuana or anything until I accepted the king, you know. Is when I really, I mean, I would have smoked, take a puff or something some other time somewhere in the past. But to say I was a smoker as such, I never really was into that until I accepted the king. I accepted that as a part of it, you know, as a ritual. That's why you see I deal with it on a different level, because I consider this as a real ritualistic vibration. So in 1996 now, really coming to a kind of vibes. At this time now, I was, where was it I now? I think at this time I was already working at the airport. I was an apprentice at the time with an airplane company called Caribbean Aviation, where they have some little planes and all of that. And yeah, if it's not just before I went there, but when I just started there, I accepted the divinity of Emperor Haile Selassie I, you know, and that was on the 3rd of December, 1996, right there in my room, my father's house. And I was reading Revelation chapter 5, verse 5, something I go through all the time, you know, and I already understood the link and everything. And I was just reading it. And when I, you know, I can actually see it now as I'm speaking. When I was looking at that verse, I say, hey, this is the man for real, you know. That was it. No looking back. In fact, no, I was not at the airport yet, man. That was a few months after, because within no time, I started to work on a radio station by the name of ZDK. In fact, the same month, I actually, same month, the end of the year was the first time I ever did anything on a radio station. The person that was running the show at the time, he left the room and I just did a thing. And then by the February, I had my own show called The Mystic Vibration. And, you know, I could say everything kind of just take off from there into, you know, who I am at this moment. You know, from the moment I even sense Bobo Shanti, the antennas went up, you know. And I would always have spoken about
where'd you get the sense of it from?
Well, I was just going to say,
okay.
Well, this is not really the sense, but I was going to say I always speak about when I was younger, when I was in primary school. I can't put an age to it because I can't give you the exact time. But I said I'd have been 9 or something, 9, I believe it, yeah, about 9. Because by 10, 11, I think I was already in secondary school. I think it was 11. So it was about 9 because I was in primary school. And we have a priest here, Priest Kushiba. Well, at that time, I don't think he was a priest yet. I wouldn't have even known who he was. But he had a Volkswagen van. And he's an artist. So he would be down by the port where the ships come in, and I guess he would have his paintings and so out. So I was walking because from my youth, you know, I'm free and I could just move around. From a very young age, I mean, like walk, go to wherever school, to the town, jump on the bus, come out from 6, 7, 8. That's just me. Nobody accompanied me. And I remember one time I was walking and his van was parked on a street named the St. Mary Street, outside of the ACB Bank, Antigua Commercial Bank. And he had a picture, the same picture with Prince Emmanuel in the front of the Black Supremacy book when you open and you see it. He had a big, same black and white on his bus. Like he photocopy it and he stick it on the bus. And I stand up there. Again, I could see it like now, like right now talking to you, I could see it when I was standing up there. And I watched, this is when I about 9, you know, kid. Oh my. And I watched that picture, and I just watched that picture. Just watch it for a while. I think I was there at least 5 minutes just watching it. So I was walking, you know, and I see it and stand up, man. And just go back and watch it. Watch it. I don't even know what I'm thinking by watching it and watching it. Little child, you know, watching it. And then I just went where it is I was going, you know. So I consider that was like a mystic energy that already showing me, hey, this is where we're going, you know. Yeah.
Road
so,
marker.
Go through.
No, I said a road marker, you know, like
yeah, road marker, exactly.
Mile marker, whatever, yeah.
Exactly. But now you see, as you say now, the sense, because I was around Rastafari, especially when I just accepted it. But even before that, I have a brethren called Ras Mike, Bingy Mike, that day I would have visited, you know, Idash in Barnes Hills. Thanks for Ras Idash. Very key pillar as well in my early age, as far as Rastafari, you know. Yet still, you know, our family basically got, well, his family, a family from Barnes Hill, he lived there, but I think that's where he was from originally, but still, like myself, but that's where our roots is from, Barnes Hill. So I think we actually related to some degree, you know how them things go. But Bingy Mike, Ras Idash, definitely, you know, he would be somebody I would have gone to as well, to kind of get a strength to understand. Even when I accepted the king, he was one of the persons I went to first. I came to, hey, I accept the king, and, you know, and when I was clear that I accept King Emmanuel, I went to him too, and that wasn't too long after. It was within a year. And I remember as Mike sit me down and said, King, be careful what you're doing. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. I said, why? Yeah, man, because, you know, and whatever it is he tried to tell me. But again, at that time, especially when I started to wrap my hair, there was a brethren by the name of Shakwan, Prophet Shakwan, that would come through. I would have heard about him, you know. And because that time Priest Kushiban, so he wasn't around here. He was in the Virgin Islands. Maybe when I was in secondary school, he would have already left here. He even got his priesthood. I think it's in St. Croix, he got his priesthood. So just showing you how the feel is. Technically, there wasn't really no Bobo Shanti as such around here. There was an elder by the name of Mountain who has passed on, and he would have lived in the hills. But he was one of, you could say, the students of Priest Kushiba. And although Bobo Shanti, there was, you know, well, just like myself, there was a lot that we really didn't know. In fact, the first time I went to Jamaica, to be honest, is I kind of brought back a lot of the culture for them, for them to hold on to. So just giving you an idea, you know, just really, I know it's a lot, but at least you get a real sense of even how I came into it. Capleton was pushing a lot of the Emmanuel energy. At that time, Sizzler didn't kick in yet, because my dog in Ghana till time. And Capleton just came on the scene as well too. So ones would have already heard the whole Emmanuel vibration and the energy, you know, from that. But I would say after I held on to it, Sizzler kind of put an energy, at least here in Antigua in 1997, 98. And I had a lot of youths that just started to wrap up the turban. A lot of them, the vast majority of them don't wear no turban now. But at that time, wow, you know, that was a wave off of the Sizzler energy. So as I said, Prophet Chakwan was coming through Antigua because he was born here, but he lives in America. And anytime I get a chance, I would have sat with him and tried to milk whatever it is I would get from him. But it wasn't until one night, I was living in the hills now, because I was asked to leave my father's house, you know, because this thing looked a little too radical for him. Let's put it that way. But everybody know how that story goes. It comes full circle. I don't think there's anybody anywhere in the world that had to leave home that didn't go back. And when I say go back, even if it didn't go back to live there, but you can't back because it just was meant to be. It's all right. They're just teaching us how to fly. And again, when I had to go and live in the hills, a lot of the training from my scout days, so it was like that. Yeah, man. So, you know, I live without current. I never really lived without current, only like when we went camping. Electricity, stove and all of these things, but it was easy kind of to adapt. So anyway, Virgin that work at the airport now, Ras Bubbler, it's not a Ras, but still Ras. A Bubbler is, you know, a Ras man. He named Bubbler. So you could imagine. So Bubbler now, but he's a security at the airport, still there. He have a big position now. And one night I just up on the top of like a concrete roof, where we were, even though it's in the hill, there were some ancient buildings there that we occupied. This mystic vibes, how Jah just opened the door. And one night I at the top, and it was a moon night. It was a full. I think the moon was now a couple of days after the full moon. And you could see when anybody's coming up from afar. And I watched this vehicle coming up the hill. And then it pulled up. I see it was an airport vehicle. And then I see this man stepping out in this black robe and this black turban and this long staff. I just stand up and say, wow, what's going on here? Yeah, you could imagine. I said, wow, what's going on here? And then I see Bubbler come out and says, my lord. I say, yes, my lord. Yeah, man, I bring a brethren here to meet you. Because he had to stay overnight on the airport. Well, he had to stay overnight, something with the flight. Yeah, and the brethren ended up staying a week or two with us. The thing went down mystic too, you know, but I wouldn't even go into the fullness of that. Not between us, me and him is brethren. But yeah, but that's our next level. I wouldn't fully go there, but everything is fully blessed. But so he spent a moment with I. And I would say at that time, I could say I really got to learn how the Bobo Shanti movements really is all about.
Okay.
You know, how I wear my robe, how I say the creed. I see everything, how you break the fast. You know, that's where I started to get the teachings, like, it was like a crash course. When they sweep and when they don't sweep, white over black and black over white. Yeah, that's where I got it. I started to fit in. So yeah. And of course, in 2001, I went and I visited the hill. It was during the time of, let me get this straight. It was in March going into April. It was for a month and a half. March going into April. No, April going into May. Month and a half is the M I'm thinking about. April going into May. Month and a half. And you know that, and the mystic thing now, when I went now, I wasn't crowning. And I didn't get the full understanding of that. But you see, and this is 2001, when Priest Germain visited, I think it was 1999, if I'm not mistaken. So even between 1999 and 2000, a few things happened. I went to St. Kitts as the first place I met Jakasha, Honorable Priest. Next, that's our next Priest Germain now. If you want to say that's our Priest Germain there. I think it's 2000. Some mystic things happened in St. Kitts, some real revelation. Give thanks to the man Jabalu, Prophet Jabalu. I met a priest called Priest Nyabingi, that's in St. Kitts as well. He was a elder priest that would have been around King Emmanuel. Although our meeting was very short, there are a few revelations he showed to I that got my mind thinking, and a few things about the yard and about King Emmanuel, you know, in a sense, you know, when I really think of it properly, I never really maxed this out, but I think he would be the first person I would have ever met that would have, you know, been around the king. I never really thought of it, but now coming to think of it now, I think Priest Nyabingi would have been the first person that I would have ever met that would have been around the king. Feel like, oh, we know all the other man that, but at that time, no. Because Priest Jeremy now, he you know, he was one of them man that came to the camp like just after the father make a move. I think about 95 or late 94, he would have come around. So he still come and catch it in the glory, you know. Even I, when I went in 2001, you know, not to, you know, make it look away, but he ain't like what they now. I mean, like what I saw, oh my goodness, pardon me. When I saw, like, yeah, man, you know what I mean? I can feel it, man. I can just the sense what I experienced. So I was saying, I was proud, my lord. I don't know if it's how I was moving or whatever, but I went through everything, you know. I don't know if it's the wrong thing to say. When I say everything, from holding banner, reading Psalms, playing music. Yeah, man, everything. I never forget that time. Is what playing is the bass. I think is the food day or something I doing, boy, and I'm doing it right. And Priest Archibald, you know, and all the preachers say, no, man, Bobo, no, Bobo, you have to get up. Yeah, come, man. I say, wow. I don't think I ever get no correction like that. Eh? But everything blessed. Yeah, just the way he said, no, my love, Bobo, no, you have to get up. No, you go, come back. And he calls somebody. Yeah, but it's so you go. That's how it is. As I said the other night in a reasoning, let the righteous smite me. Eh? It shall be an excellent oil. But what I'm saying now is only, I think, is like a day before I going away. You know what I mean? I really get the understanding about the crowning thing. Yeah. So when I went there, I show all them time, man like Priest Zebulon, Priest Morgan, and so usually be by the gate. In fact, it's them two man that crown. Eh? And when I went down and I asked about the crown, I said, but my lord, they're in the crown. Where are you coming from again? I said, they're in the crown. And I said, they're in the crown. Yeah. Yeah, to be honest, the only time I had to take off my turban is to get crowned. Yeah. Mistake. And you know, as I would say from time to time, I have it as a blessing. I was crowned the exact day that the father make a move. In fact, I come to learn. Well, I don't know if learn is the right word. Not that I disputing the research at all. It's just one of them things. I mean, I still looking into, but as you know, ones would say the 31st of May is King Emmanuel Earthstrong too. You know, as I said, I'm not disputing it, you know, because it's still mystic how he moved on that same day too, you know, exactly 80 years apart. So, it's, you know, it's always up for discussion, really. But anyway, so I was crowned on the 31st of May, 2001, which was exactly 7 years after the man make a move, exactly 7 years. I was crowned with Psalms 21 and Psalms 133. Now, at that time, I never saw nothing strange about that. But then now, of course, living the order, you know, traveling and I see man getting crowned and I there witnessing and maybe I even rap man head a few times. I see Psalms 23. So I just always query and ask different ones. Like, well, how is it I get crowned with Psalms 21 and Psalms 133? And then the person, especially if it's an elder, will say, yeah, so who crowned the eye? So, well, Priest Zebulon wrap the turban and Priest Morgan read the psalm. He said, oh, sure, but well, if a Morgan do it, it good, you know, my lad. I said, okay. And I actually asked Priest Morgan several years after that, a good time after that, what about, you know, brought it up to him and asked if you remember. And they said, yeah, man, my lad, yeah, man, everything good, you know, just so, you know, like a cold weather, everything good. All right. You know, so you know how the art is, you know, and you know them elders stay, you know. It's kind of just a cool word, you know. I think that's the knock up. And I would expect that, you know, from a man that would have been around the father. And I think he just grabbed 2 psalms and I found that as a blessing. Same time they were rapping my head, the Honorable Priest Jesse's son. I think it was Jesse. That time he was a little youth, maybe he was 4 years old or something like that. And he came out and he went, when he came out without a turban, he came out and when he saw them wrapping my hair, he went back in the room and come out again with a white turban and he sit down on like a chair and start wrap his own head. Yeah. Again, I place all of that in the archives.
Yeah, yes, sir.
So, you know, I mean, I know I've said a lot, man. I didn't know if you expected me to go so long.
Well, hey, it was a wonderful story. I'm glad you shared it. I mean, it really shows how you were groomed, you know, like everything you did leading up to now has prepared you for now. Yeah, and, you know, special, it's not to say special treatment, but it is special, you know what I mean? The eye is a special person. And yeah, I mean, while like say, for instance, that crowning on that particular day, 7 years after, and that's special, you know, so nobody could take that away. And give thanks for sharing, you know, we have some insight into Honorable Priest Isaac and who the brethren is, you know. I wanted to go and ask you, like, what inspired you to, like, you know, become like a lecturer and someone who shares information and things like that? Where do you get that motivation to do that?
Well, that's another thing, because what it is now, because it's a career now. It's a career, you know. It is a career, because I'm going to show you. You see, as I said, when I actually accepted this, within no time I was already on the radio. That didn't happen by chance. I put myself in the position for that. In fact, I was inquiring about that before I accepted the king. It just so happened that when I accepted the king, that door opened. So when I started the Mystic Vibration, it was a program that came on every Saturday night from 8 to 10. It was a real, you know, the first 10 years of the Mystic Vibration, I could clearly say it was one of the, if not the most listened program in Antigua at the time, straight up. Widely listened. So it kind of concretized who I was at the time. So them time I was a priest Isaac. In fact, the name Kidemi was a name. This is a next mystic. This is a name that I came across relatively young and already accept. When I say relatively young, before I actually took it on as a name, maybe I was 15 or so at the time, going through the Encyclopedia Britannica, you know. And I said, I wanted to look up Ethiopia. And I came across, it has Ethiopia, Kidemi. And it translated Ethiopia, go forward. You know, which of course I come to realize it means a little more than that. It means to go forward first, the first to go forward. Kidemi is similar to where you have Kadama, where they have a similarity, which means the first and all of that stuff there. But, so I took it and I liked it. I kind of, if you want to say, placed it in my bosom. And so, yeah, I was 15. And mystically, just before I left secondary school, there was this album that Dr. Dre came out with called The Chronic. That's where he bust Snoop Dogg. So I was into a lot of hip hop too, and I was rapping. So yeah, man, MC Blade. I used the name MC Blade. You know, chilling laughing. Yeah, seriously. Yes, yeah, I can drop a few lyrics, man. It's obvious.
Yes, sir.
And I'm gonna try that now. But so I used to like the album so much. The name of the album was The Chronic. Wow. hear the Chronic, and even though I never liked too much, bad words and them slack music and so. But I guess just the way that Dr. Dre did the album, it was really catching to me. I was into a lot of hip hop, but I really despise all the cursing and so. But I'll still check it out because I just thought like it was my job to hear what's out and what's not out. So I would have my favorites and who I really gravitate to, definitely. But so I like the album, The Chronic. Somehow that name, a lot of ones even still call me Chronic, but it was really The Chronic. So before I left secondary school, somehow the Chronic stuck on me, and I would just work with it too. So even when I started the radio program, I'm coming back to the teachings, it would have been the Mystic Vibration with the Chronic, nothing else. You even know who I be, nothing. But then after a while, I kind of dropped that, but still, of course, people still refer to you as that. And I started to just change my identity. It was Kidemi Shalom Isaac, Ras Kidemi Shalom Isaac specifically. And even with the identity change, the scope of the program would change, because how the program was, I would start with a psalm. It was basically music down the line. And like on the hour, I would come in with the next psalm. And then a couple of months after, I started to read a scripture and a psalm. And then a little bit after that, I started to explain what the scripture was. Wow. Yeah, within no time, the program just transformed to something even similar to what you hear today. When I started to play clips, things I used to speak of at the time, even music I used to play. When I have to say it, King, around here, right, you couldn't play no ganja music on the radio.
Okay.
You understand? Even when I would play a ganja song, specific ones would come into the room and say, "You can't play that." I said, no, but the thing is, right, I never worked for the radio station. I was promised payment, but that never came. And I didn't even wait on them. I started to buy my time. And that can still even morph into that when you talk about the, being an entrepreneur and them kind of things. Because what I would do, I started to buy the time from the radio, and I would go out and look sponsors and pay for the radio time, and what would remain, that would be my payment, even from that time. So maybe 2 years into the program, I started to do that. You understand? So nobody could really tell me too many things because nobody paid me. So I would play ganja music down the line. People would call and say, "Oh, this boy, long time in here," and all of that stuff and so on. So I got very popular, especially for that, playing music that people and saying things that people not supposed to say. I can clearly say I'm one of the first person around here that brought real attention to the fact that our leaders get sworn in by swearing to the Queen. And some people were like, "What? So what? What are you talking about?" And now today, almost everybody brings that subject up. Just for example, when the so-called royals came here to Antigua the other day, that was one of the talking points. People are saying, "How we swear to the Queen," and so and so. But I know when I was saying that, and you have to be careful just for saying that. And speaking of many different things, we would speak about the Roman Catholic Church and how they would, trying to find the words so they don't block you or anything, how they would have pedophile relationship with these little children. That was also something you're not supposed to talk about. I would have cassettes. I had a cassette with a woman named the Nun Charlotte, and she would speak about her time in the convent and how the different cardinals would have abused her. And I remember doing a show and playing that, and getting call from high executives in the radio station. Chronic, that's you? Yes. Yeah, I was listening to you last night, Yeah, good show. But you have to be a little careful with these things, because, we don't want to get in no trouble here. I remember when I did a program with the CIA operative John Stockwell. That was the next cassette I had. So as the program evolved, changing. And I would do that whole program. He was speaking about all the operations, the underground operations in Nicaragua and Panama, and how the US would send, operatives and the Jackal Squad to take out people. So, I mean, King, I get called from police. I get called from Freemasons. I never forget the time a man called me and tell me he is a Freemason. Or what problem I have with Freemasons. I say, wow, this thing getting serious. So I'm just showing you how I'm evolving in my teachings. Them time no internet really there. This is radio station, local radio station. AM, no FM was there yet. So I could be heard all down the Caribbean, as far as maybe to the tip of Jamaica too, on the AM band. So it was a different time. It was a different energy. Yeah, so when I came back from Jamaica, I came back as Prophet Kidemi Shalom Isaac. So it was a different thing again. And the program got a lot more bingy eyes to it, a lot more energy on that level there. And as I said, basically, the rest is history. I must say though, when I went to the camp first, I never forget, I carried some materials that I was using because before I went there, I remember I was doing some series of programs trying to prove to the people that King Emmanuel is God and all of that. I would have created a booklet. I had a whole series called Who is God series, where I created a booklet, a little booklet with about 10 pages. I printed like over 200, 300 of them. Left them at certain spots. People would come and buy them for $5. So you could follow me when you go home, when I do the program. Yeah, so I would have walked with a few of those booklets. Some of those booklets would have had in like the Tutankhamun mask, and I definitely had a whole sheet with the sky chart. I must say, a lot of ones rejected that work when I went to the Hill. Yeah, man. It's only ones like, Priest Richie and them one at the time even taking what man was saying. But a lot of ones, not in no heavy disrespect, number one, we say, well, Bobo, John deal with stargazers, I'll never forget that. I heard a John deal with stargazers. And what?
That leads us right where what's going to go next,
True.
I don't know if I was finished still with the inspiration.
No, but go ahead. You should go. Right. There's so much things coming out. Yeah.
Yes, my Lord. I lectures, teaches about some topics, as you mentioned, that's kind of like, taboo, if you will, within the EABIC. What do you think it is about, say, like Kemet? And, well, not even what do you think it is? Do you think that the Congress itself and Black people as a whole, the world as a whole, should be open to this type of information? Like, why is it like astronomy, Kemet? Why are these things taboo, and are they beneficial? I know that's a bunch of questions, but I know your reason about it, so you can kind of see what I'm saying. Yeah,
most definitely. I think it's because of the high level of dogma, and a lot of it have a lot of energy from the old religious world. I was wondering if I should say Christianity as such, because you'll be surprised, people, there are people that are Christians and they're not as dogmatic as some people that are Rasta, So that's why I was slow to just say the Christian spirit. But anyway, I know it's still coming from that level there, from that religious, that kind of, and a lack of understanding of certain things. I will tell you why. We sing a song, morning devotion every morning there. Jerusalem, my happy home, name ever dear to me. Okay. Now this Jerusalem we talking about, I'm wondering if when we sing it, if we thinking about Jerusalem in Palestine there, Jerusalem. Now I ain't got no problem with that Jerusalem, all of that is ours. But somehow when it says Jerusalem, I think the meditation is more where King Emmanuel always points us to. King Emmanuel never necessarily points us to Jerusalem. It's always Ethiopia, and when he say black, is black Sierra Leone, black Nigeria, and every black Jerusalem, but it may have said that, but we know we have the specific chance. And don't get me wrong, and not negating Jerusalem, the place that we call Jerusalem in Palestine. It's all our land. But I know when we say Jerusalem, when we sing that hymn, we focus in Ethiopia highlands. I'm saying that to say, when we say Egypt now, we know for sure we're not talking about Egypt in Africa. But I might say that simply. And even today, even many elders would tell you that no, man, it's not Egypt in Africa. No, it's Egypt, Jamaica, and all of these different things. But then at the same time, because the stain of Egypt has been put on the place called Egypt, there are many of us who never even really take the time to unravel and take away the stain of the land called Egypt before we go and start to, say that they're idol worshippers, because that's one of the main things. Because what you're looking at there, again, pull something out, Anubis with the head of a jackal, and Horus with the head of a hawk, and even somebody else, Osiris green, and Sekhmet lion head, and Hathor the head of a cow. So, it's easy for our ones to say, man, listen, that can't be right. That don't look right. That's evil and all of these different things. Okay. Now, when you read in the Bible, in the book of Daniel, and even in the book of Revelation, but not Daniel too, but Ezekiel talks about the 4 beasts that are around the Almighty God. God traveled with 4 beasts. And according to Ezekiel, each of them beasts here have 4 faces. And then Ezekiel go on to explain how the faces go. Them is good beasts, I know devil moving because them is God beasts. Yeah, the Father God, them is holy beasts. Right. And each of these beasts have 4 faces. They have the face of a man, the face of an eagle, the face of a lion, and the face of a cherub. That's what Ezekiel says. Now, another chapter in Ezekiel, he says, see the same beast. But then he said, and each of the 4 beasts had 4 faces. And he says, the face of a man, the face of an ox, the face of, the face of the man, the face of the eagle, the face of a lion, and then he says the 4th face was the face of the ox. Now, and I don't want to complicate no one, but Ezekiel mentions that he saw these beasts on 2 different occasions. And he actually said the second time it was the exact same beasts. The Bible have a unique way of doing things. He clarified to you. Like if it's a trick he's showing you, like he's showing you a clue. Follow me? Is the exact same beast. So no matter what I tell you, because it sounds a bit different. Because in the first 4 faces, he saw the face of a man, the face of an eagle, the face of a lion, and then he said the face of a cherub. But when he saw the beast again, he saw a man, an eagle, a lion, and an ox. So the face of the cherub was removed and the face of an ox was placed. Now there is a mystic science about that, but before I go into the science, just think about the beast. Now, if you were to give a pencil to a child and tell the child, draw this beast to me, and then explain the beast to the child, this beast to me would look more hideous than anything you see on the walls of Kemet. Remember, them is the beasts around God. All of them have 4 faces. A lion on one side, a man on one side, an eagle in front, and an ox behind. What kind of thing is that? Now remember, the expression of Kemet is in pictograph form. It's not in words. It's on a almost like a rudiment elementary level where you draw the expression. You see, this is what we have lost, you know. We lost total connection with symbolism. That's one of the big missing pieces of a lot of things we deal with. We don't understand symbolism. So the same thing you're looking at with your eyes on the walls of Kemet is the same thing you're reading, you know, or you're listening to that is being read in the Bible that Ezekiel saw, the beast around God. So that's why when you look at the ancient Ethiopian pictures and you see God, you always see an ox with some wings, an eagle with some wings, a lion with some wings, and maybe an angel face with some wings, or whatever the other animal is that represents the beast. So I'm just saying that to show now, it's obvious that we are lacking something here. You know, we're burning out, because Egypt is Africa. Why would we want to put away that civilization? Psalms 19 says that the heavens declare the glory of God. And the firmament, we read that psalm today. Is today we read that? Yeah. Yeah. Today we read, yeah. The heavens declare the glory of God. And the firmament show his handiwork. Day unto day utter its speech. Night unto night show it knowledge. So that means the heavens, that means what above you? The stars and the moon, because the psalm even go on to say that the sun, he start to speak of the sun. So we know we're talking about the heavenly bodies. And Psalms 19 is explaining that they declare the glory of God. Not that they're pretty, well, that too, but day unto day utter its speech, mean that it's telling you something. And once you are sky literate, that's what it is, you know, in the same way you can read French and read English and read hieroglyph. That means you're literate in the subject area. So if you can read the stars, not just the map of the heavens, that's one level. If you can do that, that's good. If you can literally map the constellations, that's great. But then now there's a next level of reading the heavens when you have to deal with the astronomical clock and calculate movements of planets and calculate, you know, the rising and setting of stars and what time and what date. When you can get into that zone, you find yourself really tapping into the knowledge of God, you know, on the next level altogether. So that is not stargazing. Stargazing is something else. I don't even want to even hazard a guess at what it is. But this is the understanding of the movement. In ancient time, you can't be no priest unless you are an ancient astronomer. The priest is an astronomer, you know, that know how to understand the calculations of the heavens. And let me just say before I seal this up there, I have a priest named Priest Harris. I know the Honorable Empress Lily Mae Duncanson know of him, not know of him, what am I saying? Well, she made that known to me. I didn't even know the closeness there. But I met Priest Harris the first time I went to the head. When I returned, I think he was already in Ghana, because he did pass on there. And Priest Harris said, and I had it on cassette, but somehow that's one of them things that has gotten away from I. Priest Harris say that King Emmanuel say that a one shall come amongst us that can read the stars. That means that's Priest Harris' word. And we had it, Honorable Priest Kailash can tell you about that. We had that on cassette, where we would listen to that and say, yeah, boy, this is something else. Mm-hmm. So I believe that's been my Lord, straight up.
My Lord. So you think that this Kemetic information, this astronomy, and a lot of the other aspects of, like I say, is holistic knowledge. You know, you've talked about Mayan civilization. Any civilization where there's some type of information that's pertinent, to us. You go into it. Do you think that this broader scope of understanding will help the Congress? And if so, how?
I think that, let me show you now. You see, okay, number one, especially back to an earlier question you asked, number one, I think it's necessary that we become a lot more open-minded when it comes to knowledge and information. Emperor Haile Selassie I says that we have to seek for secular knowledge. So we shouldn't shut down none of these things. We can't run from especially our ancient Afrocentricity. We can't run and hide from history. We should be very open when it comes to these things. That's number one. Now, how we adapt this information, especially as Bobo Shanti, you see the way that the father set the order. We have to be careful now how we mingle with it. I'm going to show you what I mean. Okay, so you would hear me speak about Osiris, and the Osiris mystery is fulfilling Haile Selassie I. That's the truth. That's the truth. Now, if you in my home, well, I don't really have a picture of Osiris, but I wouldn't have a problem. Maybe I have some kind of Osiris picture around because I have all kind of things. Yeah, okay, look Osiris there inside of the exactly. I don't have a problem with that, but I wouldn't put up them kind of things in the tabernacle. The tabernacle. I wouldn't even put it on a guidance and wear it as a guidance, like I have a guidance of Osiris, and I would never do that. Am I saying a person shouldn't do that? It's kind of tricky. I wouldn't even try to trouble a person. But what I'm saying, it's my understanding of how far you take things. So that was the ancient sea. That was there. That to me, you see, the glory of Haile Selassie, King Emmanuel, and Marcus is the highest glory. And all of these other things that I would refer back to leads up to the coming of the glory of the prophet, priest, and king that we know. So they're the fulfillment of all of these things. So I can't put none of these things on a higher apex at all. No Osiris and none of these things. Haile Selassie the first. So my guidance is Haile Selassie. Well, this one is Idi Amin. My guidance is King Emmanuel. Portraits for certain sacred places is the prophet, priest, and king, and the empress. That is just my outlook of it. And but I look at the information that you say I would go to as the ancient sea that leads us to the coming of the emperor and the coming of the priest and the coming of the prophet. I think we're living in a very mystic time, and not into like time coming to an end and all of that. But I know we're living in a time where the world that has governed us for a while, something hot going to happen, King. We're going to live to see that. Something very hot going to happen, and I know it's King Emmanuel order that is going to secure those of us that has held on to it. Plus, we have to have a clean heart and a pure heart. Clean hand, pure heart. It's very important. It's two things: the order plus inside of you. We have to try our best to be, genuine, honest, loving. It's very important because you could walk in the order and know it well. But because you're something not right inside, it's a big liquor, because they have a lot of people that not in the order, and them is genuine people, honest people, loving people, caring people. For whatever reason, they don't reach to this. Maybe some of us scare them away, but they exist. So to me, the full thing is when you balance them both. So even those of us that in the order, especially if you're in it, trust me, take some time now to work on the heart. Work on the heart quickly. Don't wait too long. Just be honest, be loving, be caring. It's not that hard. I come to realize it's not that hard. You may not be able to reach to everyone, but just do what you can do. And share love and be generous and all of these different things. Because I know we have the perfect order, especially if we, follow it in its fullness. So I'm just saying now, because we can go into all kinds of things, and everything you crack open, you find the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. Even down to the atom, when you crack it open, you find the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. If Haile Selassie is supposed to be the physical manifestation of the energy of the spirit of the all in all, that means you're supposed to crack into everything scientific and can observe the reflection of the King. In the same way you can look in the moon. In the same way you can look in the moon and say, but look, the picture of the man in the moon. And that to me is that's a miraculous thing to it. That stands out, that is real as real can be. You know, that you don't even have to go into no Bible to see that, the picture, the outline of the moon in the moon. Now, a person may say, well, that is what a person see. I understand that too. I'm quite familiar with, you know, people seeing what they want to see. I understand, I really do. But to me, the picture of Haile Selassie in the moon, it is to me unobvious. And that is one of the things that can concretize. Because I always say, I have some brethren that when we cited that picture, some of us, we cited it together. And some of them gone back. And I always say, I wonder when the man see the full moon, because the man was dread man. And there is man that will tell you, know, see Selassie in the moon, man, look. And I say, I wonder when they see a full moon, what they do, what they think about, if they look away. Because this is something that they held on to strong, you know. So this is why, too, you know, my Lord, why the energy came to be, as I said, a lecturer and a teacher. You know, I myself, I literally, again, I can't give this date now, I guess maybe more in around 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008, that time there, I was doing a lot of traveling, especially in the Caribbean, on my own, just like I just went to places. That's something else. A lot of things we just get up and do it. I mean, I would just get up and go to St. Martin. I don't know nobody in St. Martin. Yeah, get up. I don't know. I go in St. Thomas. I have an idea where I want to go, but I just go in. You know, Anguilla, you know, Dominica. So what we would do, we would just travel, and I would stay. This was like a routine for me. I would stay in a guest house for like about a week. I would go to all the different radio stations and TV stations and ask for interviews, because they would do it. You know, people think things hard, you know, they would do it. Say, who are you? Well, my name is, let me see, how it was there. Yeah, it started off as Prophet Kidemi Shalom. Okay, and where you from? From Antigua. I'm a lecturer. What you lecture about? Black history. Okay. So you want to come on my show? Yeah, I'm doing a lecture at the library on Friday night, not Friday night, Saturday night, whatever. I just picked something out, man, you know. But what I'm saying now, what I would have done, I would have already gone and find a spot, whether it's a lecture hall, whether it's a library, even universities I would go to it. They just be the hardest one to get into. But you can use the conference hall once you can pay for it. And then when I book my spot, I go to the radio stations, go to what we call it, the papers, newspapers. I find out which is the top read newspaper. I would put an ad in it. And from the time I hit the radio station, especially, there was a time I was pushing the fairy tale folly days and nursery crimes a lot. I'm telling you, straight up, King, that does bring people out. That does people hanging from the rafters. People that never hear me, don't know me, want to hear, who is this man that talking about Winnie the Pooh wearing shirt and not wearing pants? Yeah, I'm telling you. So even from that time, it's like a technique. So I would go to some place, King, with maybe less than 100 US in my pocket. And I leave, you know, definitely with more than 100 US. I've never been there. And sometimes, and I've met a lot of friends in the Caribbean that same way. People would come and after lectures and say, where staying? I stayed by such and such guest out. Go by them people here, man, I have an extra room, you know. And yeah, I'm telling you, I have a lot of friends I've met that way that I still good with up to now. Yeah, so all of that is a part of the journey too, you know. And, you know, as you could see, I just took it on myself. And I've always traveled with DVDs that I would have prepared even before I went deep into the book writing. So I always had something to sell, always selling my products. So even before the days of YouTube and all of that, people would have already heard about and especially in the US. Even that same brethren Sarnetta, you know, he was very known for taking people DVDs and doing what he does with them. So through him, a lot of my information actually got around in the US. So, as I said, yeah, and I would travel to England too several times. We've gone to England. There was a time that I would have done several moves myself and the Honorable Priest Kailash, where it would have been like a spiritual and a physical thing. The medicine and the whole thing with the taking care of the body. And then the spiritual aspect of it and the African history and all of that thing. That was a good 1-2 punch, I must say. Yes. Yeah, definitely. So we would have definitely done that in several places. Wow. Barbados, several times we've been to England. And even them same places I call, you know, yeah. And yeah, so even me and him were developing that kind of academical reach out and bringing it to people, you know. In many cases, places where he would have gone, I would have returned with him, and places where I would have gone, I would have returned back with him, and that's really, really where that has brought us to even now. Yes, my Lord, how we sounding?
Oh, it's sounding great, my Lord. It's a lesson. I mean, so many lessons, like just like for instance, the fact that you started studying so young, that's an inspiration. Hopefully somebody young hears that, you know, and understands that, yeah, if you really take yourself serious when you're young and you stay on it and you build yourself, by the time you're, you know, a big man, you should be able to use your brain. And it doesn't mean you have to pay to go to college. And, you know, I mean, yes, if you can go to college, yes, but there's ways that you can educate yourself and still make a career out of using your head. I mean, all of the different hustles that you just, you know, mentioned, that's real ingenuity to grow yourself organically like that. You didn't have some big company pushing you or nothing. You just did it on your own. You had confidence in yourself, you know. So that's a great inspiration, you know. Yeah, thanks for sharing, my Lord. Sorry. And the creativity, that's a whole next vibe, you know, like nobody else probably was doing that, you know, at that time, just going up to radio stations and, you know, asking for an interview or printing little pamphlets and just, you know, using your resources and you know, exploiting them, you know, positively for your benefit, but not just your benefit, for everybody who was, you know, either reading or hearing what you had to say. You know, it's good for everybody. You know, African liberation has many different fronts. You know, education is one of the primary ones, as we said before. So, yeah, give thanks for the eye, my Lord. Yes, I wanted to, you know, being a member of not only a member, but a priest of the Ethiopia Africa Black International Congress, and knowing that, you know, our Father King Emmanuel said the only development here in the West is freedom, redemption, international repatriation, you know, that should be the driving force, you know, for us and everything that we do, you know. So I would like to ask the eye, you know, as far as the repatriation, what is it that we as a Congress, because we know in the past the EABIC was one of the leading, if not the leading, associations, organization, whatever you want to call it, you know, groups of people in that field of repatriation, agitating for it for Black people. But, you know, over time, I think we've lost that position as the leader. But we're still here, you know. I want to know, and I want the listeners to know, in your opinion, Honorable Priest Isaac, what is it that we can do to really bring ourselves up in the forefront again as a Congress, you know, about what it is that we're supposed to be, like, you know, our number one thing that we do and work for, yeah.
Which is repatriation or?
Well, the fullness of freedom, redemption, repatriation.
Right, yeah.
Repatriation, you know, is really the freedom and the redemption is kind of not even possible without the repatriation, you know.
Repatriation, yeah.
Yes,
I remember I had Priest Lamont on my program not too long ago, and he was breaking down the difference between the freedom and the redemption and the repatriation. He did quite nicely. But with the angle I would like to go with, again, the British Royals, the trying to remember the name now, Prince Edward, his name is, he is the Earl of Wessex, and his wife, who is the Countess of Wessex. Of course, you know, they passed through here the other day again. So the cry for reparation was something that was strong in the air, at least by, you know, those of us, and I would say us, that do seek the reparatory justice. And I do say us, you know, but I wouldn't say with reservations. I don't think I have anything reserved. I'm for it. But I understand that there's a greater agenda than that. You know, honestly, when you study the reparation agenda of today and you compare it to what you were speaking of, the detailed agenda of King Emmanuel Charles Edwards, I see that we're looking at, again, one of them hijacked aspect of Rastafari. You know, Rastafari have some wealth in their hands, and in many cases it has been hijacked, even on the reggae music. If it's not Chinese hijacking it, if it's not Jews hijacking it, even down to our colors. Cannabis, marijuana, you can talk about that.
ITAL,
you know, even the locks.
Yeah, sustainable living.
Yes, everything hijacked and we left behind to some degree. And to some degree, we ourselves have to check ourselves. But in some cases, it's real stick up and robbery, you know, real stick up business. What I'm saying now is that with the reparation, that is not necessarily the agenda of King Emmanuel at all. And one of the things that I asked of even the commission here, the Reparation Assistance Commission, which I'm not fully getting the answer I would like to get, is where is repatriation in this? Because the repatriation agenda, you know, has gone cold. So those who have taken up this agenda for compensation, let's call everything compensation. Those who have taken up the agenda for compensation are leaning strongly on reparation. Okay, again, to me, reparation is also a very broad word, or it could be broad. But you have to ask yourself, what do these degreed intellects mean when they say reparation? Because I was listening to Sister Kabu on Running Africa 2 Sundays ago, and she had the professor there, Campbell. Professor Campbell was with her. What's his first name? I think it's Carlton Campbell, but anyway, Professor Campbell was with her, and he made a statement. He said, the reparation struggle, which began with the Rastafari, has now been taken up by the intellects of the Caribbean. Just so he says, I would say, but of which he's one. So to me, there is, whether consciously or subconsciously, because we have been trained to kind of scorn Rasta, whether we know it or not, but subconsciously or subconsciously, he was drawing a line between Rastafari and the intelligence, the intelligent people that we have in the Caribbean, the intellects, pardon me, the intellects of the Caribbean. Because when you really check most of the people on the Reparation Commission, and from the head and Sir Hilary Beckles, and even the head of the commission here, Dobrino Mard, and these different ones. Dobrino Mard was on the radio the other day, and I didn't know so many colleges the brother, or university the brother was a graduate of. The University of Canada, the University of the West Indies, the University of somewhere else. I said, wow, I didn't know so many accolades you have, brother. But what I'm saying, these individuals, with no disrespect to any of them, are the people that we refer to as the intellects. So the reparation movement now, even Sir Hilary Beckles, Vice Chancellor of the University of the West Indies and the head of the Reparation Commission, the OECS Reparation Commission, he himself clearly stated, especially in the beginning of all of this, that we are continuing the struggle that the Rastafari have been waging for years or decades, basically. And I mean, he's saying it with some level of affection, you know, but we have to understand again the hijacking here, you know. As I said, the professor drew a line, a clear line between Rastafari and the intellects, as if there's nowhere where the Rastafari meet the intellects. Yeah, I mean, and as if, yeah, that's how we think. We really do think so. Trust me, we do think so. I tell you, people tell me some strange things already. As if like how you are Rasta and you're so intelligent. And so obviously that's an insult to me. You insulted me. I don't know what you think you're trying to tell me. In fact, a few people had to kind of put them straight with that comment. You know. So I've received that a few times. Like, wow, how you're so smart, so how you became a Rasta? I'm telling you. Yeah, man, I'm telling you, and it's sick. So that's where the mind is, man. That's where we are. So the struggle of King Emmanuel, or the fight of King Emmanuel, is, as Bobo Shanti, number one on the agenda is repatriation. But that's not in the mind of the people anymore. So when the intellects now say reparation, they're speaking of assisting us to build our infrastructure here in the Caribbean. Scholarships to go to the universities, because they clearly outline these things. Help us to reform, you know, our economy. These are what we consider reparation. So they're not saying give money to this man, that man, and the third. They're looking at something tangible. I can understand that. Yeah, they're actually looking at something tangible. I'm not beating down what they're doing, to be very honest, because from studying, especially here in Antigua, they really have a kind of tangible agenda, and they're looking for not really cash or money or any of these things, but to set the wrong right. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't have too much in it as it relates to freedom of movement. That's what King Emmanuel pushed for. Freedom of movement, free waterway, freedom to change your nationality. So the repatriation energy in reparation is hardly there. And I'm not even sure if there's some sort of plan where those who may want to go can freely go without any friction whatsoever. You know, some people have heard say, well, listen, when it comes to that part, we're going to have to start to get into, you know, your ancestry and your DNA so we can find where you come from. That is a hard thing to do right now. Mm-hmm. We have about 34 great grandparents, you know, that came off of them ships there. You may possibly have at least 7 different tribes between them 34 great grandparents. I did the maths already. It's really about 34 great grandparents we have here. It's 4 every time, multiply or double up. So it gets into a lot. So it's hard to believe that all them grandparents were from the exact same tribe. So I wouldn't even get into that. And we know what's in Africa. We passed the colorism stage. We understand that. From you can break the colorism thing. I didn't even know that a thing named colorism is a couple of years ago. I hear it, and not too long I kind of really understand what it's all about. I never knew that. I know about racism, but I say colorism, that is something else. We know what African is. you know. So the repatriation aspect of it, of we as Bobo Shanti, most of Bobo Shanti, that's an agenda that the world gone quiet on. So we have a few countries in Africa, Ghana and one or two that are opening their doors to us. Many people are taking advantage of that, especially from the US and places like that, and a few people from Canada. But I know when King Emmanuel say repatriation, it's similar to the Exodus in a sense, not necessarily just a mass movement one time, but the opportunity, at least in this time, for the freedom of movement. That should be at the top of the agenda, you know, the opportunity, at least for the freedom of movement. Because a lot of people, especially as time moves on, they can't separate themselves from, you know, as they say, where the neighbor string berry, you know, their back have to be against the wall for that to happen. And that's what it is. That's what mobilized a lot of people when their backs get against the wall. So we as Bobo Shanti, yeah, man, the repatriation agenda, which is different than the reparation agenda, should be one of the forefront things on the board, especially in light of the reparation agenda. You know, we have to honestly, we have to show the reparation agenda that, hey, give thanks that y'all come on board, you know, because that's how they make it look like we pass the baton to them. We should be thankful that they come on board, and maybe they can only assist us in getting the attention of who we want to get the attention from. But we don't want no scholarship. It's not scholarships we're looking. If you want to give us that, well, maybe we'll take it. But no, that's not what we want. You know, we have a bigger agenda. If you want to throw in the scholarship, we'll throw it in. But that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for a bigger agenda, which is international repatriation. And before I even see that, you know, remember King Emmanuel agenda is a big agenda, you know. It's a big agenda. It may sound like I watering it down to say at least we should have freedom of movement for those who want to go. At least we should be on that level. Any sort of reparation fight without freedom of movement, at least for those who choose to go, that's not a reparation fight. But what I'm saying, King Emmanuel did not only speak of freedom of movement for us to return, you know. He specifically speak about every nation returning to where they belong according to, let's just say, his definition. So Europe for the Europeans, Chinese for the Chinese, I don't hear man say India for the Indians, and the Western world for the Arawak Indians and these ones that were here. That's a serious agenda there now. That's a serious, that's nothing even close to the reparation agenda that is happening here. That's like a whole cosmic thing King Emmanuel talking about. Something that I really consider sometimes through volcano, earthquake, lightning, thunder, or manhunt. I honestly believe is one of these things gonna make it happen. Yeah, not no sympathy from no royal Queen Elizabeth. I believe is either lightning, thunder, earthquake, something, or the hands of man. Me personally, I working on the hands of man part. I think we have enough power as man and woman in our hands to do all them things that we asking them people to do. Rastafari.
My Lord, give thanks. Well, yeah, give thanks for that explanation. And I think, you know, I would say that that's the right approach, you know, in my opinion as well. If the sympathy comes, then great, but we can't wait on it, you know, and we can't plan for it because it's not, you know, you don't know when if it's gonna happen or when. So yes, my Lord. But you know, to seal up the reasoning, I would love for you to kind of tell us, like I've been seeing Honorable Priest Shimron sharing some videos, you know, Congress development in Antigua itself. And I've, you know, seen service and things even before the priest was, you know, sharing his videos. But you could kind of tell us what it is, what's developing in Antigua, Bobo Shanti wise. And yeah, then, you know, even afterwards you can kind of tell us about, you know, your happenings, what you have going on, website, anything, you know, that you feel to share to direct the people, you know. Yes, my
Well,
brother.
yes, true. Well, as you said, yes, the Congress is moving on from highlands to highlands, I like to say, really, you know. From highlands to highlands. Can't be still in lowlands up to now. Yes, because even when I was going through the reasoning to you about myself and coming through, as I said, there was really a time when there wasn't really any Bobo Shanti as such, you know. Even when I spoke of the LA in the hills, and he had a few brethren with him too that he was showing that. But the man is hills man. When I say hills man, so even when I came back on the street, like on the street, it's really was honestly it was me alone for a good while. So, and you know, I mean, you could see even as I said when the Sizzler vibes arose and a lot of ones were wrapping up, it still wasn't. You could see that it wasn't really maybe what I was on. And then of course just going to the hill and coming back, it was that kind of changed everything. I would have started to wear my robe a lot more, and until I just totally graduated to the robe. So I'm just saying all of that to say that right now, as you said, the Honorable Priest Shimran, as an ambassador from the Congress, definitely. He's not just here with us now, you know. The Honorable Priest Shimran has been coming to Antigua. He is another man that is, as far as Congress work specifically, he definitely is an ambassador for the Congress internationally. He has definitely traveled to many different places from St. Kitts. He has come to Antigua several times, St. Lucia, Barbados, Trinidad. He has gone to places where the Congress not established, but you have a few brethren. He gone to places that the Congress well established, like Trinidad, and still his presence is definitely felt, you know. He always rises the standard everywhere he goes. So it's the same thing here in Antigua. I mean, as a man I see as a little youth too, eh? So give thanks, you know. One of the youngest priests that we have amongst I and I. And of course, we have been blessed here in Antigua, you know, to have received, you know, the strength from individuals who would have known the order and growing the order still. Even when I was Crown Prophet, Honorable Priest Akil, he was with us for a good while. Not Crown Prophet, pardon me, Crown Priest, when I got my priesthood, 2006. That's when I got my priesthood. That was the 4th day of September. And that day was the beginning of school as well. Eh? So all of that was very symbolic. I marked that down in the archive. When I got crowned, when Priest Akil crowned me priest, it was the first day of school. You know, school, you know, back to school and so I saw that as a very mystic vibration there. So yeah, the Congress, and at that time, the Priest Akil, Priest Solomon as well from Trinidad, all of these ones would have come and given a strength to the Congress here in Antigua. So it's, you know, it's steps. That's why I just kind of carried you back quickly to show you the steps that it would have brought us to, even at this time, and ones that have come and sat with us, even the Honorable Priest Jaman, and who's still here, you know, and these ones that come with a great amount of strength as it relates to the art of King Emmanuel. So right now, you know, definitely we're doing a lot of works. We are building an official tabernacle, because we've put up just today, myself and the Honorable Priest Shimran was saying that same thing, that, you know, there's enough different tabernacles we done pass through here in Antigua, whether it was a bamboo tabernacle, whether it was a tent, whether it was a tarpaulin, and of course there would have been other tabernacles that he never see. And I had to say, well, there was a time when we had a coconut bow tabernacle, all sorts of things. If it wasn't my house, some other man's house. And so we reached to a point now where we establishing now a proper tabernacle with a proper foundation. And we were actually hoping that we would have had it before the sealing up of the length, but it didn't work out. So, but we're still working, and acquiring our assets and, officially putting the Congress on the front line and making representations even to the government concerning different projects that we'd like to see take place in the land. So we definitely doing the work diplomatically on the land specifically. We have programs that we are putting in order where we intend to be feeding the poor as well. We just setting up if you want to say, the agenda for that. So we'll be visiting the poor on a regular and be, feeding as we say, the humble be fed, naked, clothed, sick, nourished, age protected, and infants cared for. So that's a very big part of what we are doing here. So a lot of things we definitely we are looking to go into the, a high program of beekeeping as well, where we will be producing honey, and definitely for the international market as well. So yeah, a lot of different works taking place here, my lord, a lot of different things, a lot of building, and we are setting up the campus. So even when brethren and sisters come through, they definitely could be in a very safe environment and home environment, and of course, churchical environment. So definitely, as I said, from highlands to highlands, I think that's where we are at the moment, my lord. Blessed Lord.
My Lord, give thanks. So
yeah.
Antigua will be hopefully an official branch within a short amount of time, yes?
Yes. Well, you know how Congress is, and you know how the Congress is officially, but yes, I would agree with what you're saying there, an official branch, because of course a branch has to have an office as well too.
Okay.
That is very, very, very important and very key. Yes, and because I'm one of those persons that, as much as possible, I like to see it run in the order of King Emmanuel, So no half stepping on these different things. Because to be honest, I know one refer to it as a branch still officially, but everything should definitely be in order.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to water down the thing at all.
No,
yeah, definitely.
Yes, so the
regular Sabbath service, we have morning devotion every single morning, regular Psalms reading around the clock. So at least that spiritual aspect of it, we definitely keeping that part of it strong too. And we're doing a lot of work with the Rastafari community too, in Rastafari and the Naya Bingi. We're working with them, Big Creek Naya Bingi, the Rastafari and Naya Bingi. We definitely, we have a oneness right now, I hear that I was told by one of the executives of the Naya Bingi the other day that they have dropped their protocols you can wear your turban to come into the Bingi house now.
Yeah.
So we give thanks.
Yes, that's awesome. Give thanks for that unity, that's, Rastafari started out as that, and I guess it, I see that it's returning.
I like that. He started out as that,
Mm-hmm. Yes, my Lord.
So yeah, you did ask me also, like even what's taking place. Well, several things, but you know how it is, several things. Well, I must say we definitely officially launching our equinox. No, not equinox. What's going on here? Our solstice.
Want to share your screen?
Yeah, I was just looking for that there. So hold on, and I'm ready. Yeah. You can give me permission to share for sure.
Yes, my Lord.
Bam.
There you are.
Okay, yes, I'm coming there. I'm finding. I'm looking for the right thing to share before I share it. But yeah, so of course you know that we are Greencastle Hill. You definitely have visited. Pardon me. You have definitely visited Greencastle Hill with myself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, hold on there. And wonderful family what it is that we will be doing. Okay, all right, I'm going to share now. What it is that we will be doing. Okay, right, that's it. You seeing what I'm seeing? Or yeah. So we're having the summer solstice. Sorry about all of that. We just prepared for the summer solstice specifically, and that will be from the 17th of June onto the 24th of June, and that will be 2022. And of course, that is 7 days of joy that we are referring to it as. That's 7 days of joy. And really, the whole science behind Green Castle Hill is, of course, the megaliths, the natural megaliths that align with the movements of the heavens. So what we do on every solstice and equinox, we invite our family from the international community. And definitely, this is the first time we are actually pushing this in the last 2 years on this level, because you would have heard that they have dropped the mandatory vaccination proof to come here, because you had to prove you were vaccinated to come here, even if you were from here. I'm telling you. And then I don't know how they did that one here. But anyway, they dropped that one not too long ago. So for a while, you had to have a vaccination proof if you are not from here. But if you're from here, you could come in, but you're going to be quarantined the whole night. And then on the 13th of April, they totally drop everything so you can come here without vaccination. But I think you still have to show your tests. But let's just hope by the time that we're ready to welcome our visitors, all of that will be thrown in the rubbish bin too. But anyway, yes, so we are inviting the family now to come and spend a little time with us, man, because myself, Rasdre, we are the founders of Rastafari Experience Antigua, and really the package that we would have created here is really about the preservation of Green Castle Hill. Green Castle Hill is really been demolished and beaten up. It has slowed down a bit, I must say, because of our strong advocating for such. So it has slowed down a bit, believe it or not. And of course, we would have had meetings several times with the same stakeholders. They were the ones that tell us they have 50 years of material, so they don't really have to blow anymore. So what's going to happen when the 50 years of material done? You know what I mean? You're going to blow again. We were the ones, because of strong advocating. We have a boundary line now on the hill. To me, well, I mean, I don't think we should have no boundary line. You're done past the boundary line from the time you start blow up the hill. But believe it or not, it's almost better than nothing, because before the advent of us advocating for it, there was no boundary line nowhere. So I don't know if you would call it a victory, but the point is that we are really still fighting for the preservation of the hill. This is why we also, we are very appreciative when people take the time to come and visit us, because it actually makes a mark, even to the authorities, and let them understand there are people all over the world who respect and cherish things like Green Castle Hill and love ecology. And then they would understand that this is a national treasure that we have, because the educational campaign of Green Castle Hill is something that we've piloted again for a good while, definitely more than a decade. So what we have done, we create a whole experience around the summer solstice, because of course the summer solstice is when the sun is at its most northern point, and it has certain alignments with Green Castle Hill that I could explain, but when you're there, you see it for yourself. And so the 7-day activities, our family would come on the 17th. They would arrive on the 17th, that's a Friday. The same evening, they would have a meet and greet with myself and, of course, the members of Rastafari Experience Antigua. And then on the Saturday, they would definitely, we will take in some hours of the Nyabingi Sabbath service. And then in the evening, that's Saturday the 18th, We will have a special lecture night where we will have some of our locals giving some lectures and presentations. We will have the Honorable Paddy Simon, the griot. He is our local historian, and he will be giving a lecture that evening. That's the Saturday evening. We'll have a conference room set up for that. And then the Sunday morning, we will be doing the yoga on the beach. And of course, the afternoon, we will have the first hike, which will be the evening hike. And then on the Monday, which is the 20th, we're going to have the island tour and the cannabis tour and the chalice talk. By that time, I mean, well, even all now, but by that time, we're going to have some good high grade around. Yeah, man, real thing. And then the next day, which is the 21st, that's the summer solstice day. And then we'll be having a morning hike, beach and yoga the afternoon. Wednesday will be the media day and the free up day where people can do what they want to do. Thursday, we're having a whole day yoga retreat that will be presented by the Honorable Empress Naya, who is our official yogi. And at the same time, the Friday now, that will be the departure, the 24th. So I'm just kind of running through that so at least the listeners can have an idea, you know, of what we are dealing with. The very easy thing, you could even contact us to get more information, PreCISACinstitute@gmail.com, and you know, inquire of the price for the event, and you know, we have already made certain connections with certain travel agencies, so you will definitely have a better economical chance when you, let's just say, shop with us. Let's put it that way, because you know we check in for everyone. We want our grassroots family to come with us. Yeah, I mean, whether vaccinated or not, there are people that, you know, people are gonna come from all over, but we want to make sure that our people that are with us, our Rastafari family, our conscious family, you know, me and our Bobo Shanti family. Yeah, man, we're looking forward to see you coming and spending 7 days with us. Trust me, it is something that you will not forget. Well, yes, King, there's so many things going on. You know, as you know, we have our international homeschool program, astronomy, African history and heritage, biology. We definitely, of course, the Honorable Empress Naya will be hosting a workshop in a few days. Redemption Healing presents natural birthing workshop, and definitely, you know, one could come and learn the art of giving birth naturally, and that will be on the 9th of May this year, 2022. That will be a Monday, yes. That will be from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. And of course, the Honorable Empress is a certified and professional international doula. We just did a wonderful program together a few nights ago where she gave a wonderful explanation to the audience of, you know, an idea of what they will be getting. And so it will be a certificated event, meaning that you will receive a certification of attendance, or certificate of attendance, I should say. Let me get that straight. I don't want to get the wrong idea. You'll get a certificate of attendance. So the certificate will show that you completed this workshop with a certified doula in this natural childbirthing workshop. So again, you know, they can contact us for more information on that. PreCISACinstitute@gmail.com. You could visit the website. Almost everything is on the website, PreCISACinstitute.com. All our books, everything that's available is right there. It's just for you to scroll through and get a good idea. Because I mean, there's so many things, man. I could talk and talk. So many different things that we make sure we offer. And you see, that's another thing, family, that this may sound strange, you know, Prophet John Daniels. No, you know, from time to time, you'd hear, it's not that much, but from time to time, you'd hear ones come up with something like, you know, you're not supposed to sell your word. something of that level there.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I wouldn't say I think like that, but I know for sure, once upon a time, I was very conscious of that. And somehow I never planned to put myself in a position where what I do on this level would be something that would return revenue to me. Remember, even when I started to work on the radio station, and so it was like if that was paid me. Even when I was going for the sponsorships, at that time, I was still doing the job at the airport. You know, in fact, the airport was the last job I ever had, and left the airport job. You know why I left the job? The man telling me I have to shave my beard. He said he don't mind me laxing up. Mr. Harriet Passad, his name is. Well, I have to shave the beard. I actually tell the man, okay. And I just not go back. In fact, I came back the next day, but you see where I worked was in the hangar. So that's like far away from the main office. It's on the same airport, but it's like way up. So to get there, you have to like drive around a back road. It's almost like somewhere else you're going. So I returned the next day and went to the main office, as far from them, and gave my resignation to Miss Sandra, what is that? Miss Sandra Briggs. Sandra Briggs, she is the daughter of the manager of the company. No, she's the granddaughter of the owner and the daughter of the manager. Long story, because the manager is married to her mother, who is the daughter of the owner of the company. But anyway, long story short, everybody was saying, boy, how you quit the job? Have a good job and this and that. Do you know that same company went bankrupt?
Yeah.
It's not around. And even some of the brethren that used to work there, I mean, you know, they had a hard time maybe even getting the next job or finding themselves in a position where, you know, but that's just the reality of it. So I left that and just moved on. And so what I'm saying about the work now, the reason why I brought that up, as far as, you see, when it comes to teaching and these levels here, can't be no hustle. If you hustling and you're dealing with, yes, the word of God, and you're dealing with truth, anything that has to do with uplifting anyone, even if it's taking care of someone or helping people to get well and all of these things, it can't be no hustle. If it's a hustle, it's best you don't do it. It's best you do it, you know, without anything attached to it, then if you want to say that, once it become a hustle. Now, what we doing here, this is not no hustling. This is a well orchestrated, well put together, well organized, strategic mission, ministry, career that we have established here. And actually now, bringing in the business component of it, actually assist it to grow into something bigger. It took a while before we could figure that out properly with understanding. Yeah, that's why we don't thrive on donations neither. No. I mean, it would be good if the people would understand the work and contribute royally to the work, but we prefer to bring goods and services of high quality to our people that need it. Even if that's why we still do what we do with no price attached to it, you know. In many cases, most of what we do and most of what we put our time in and most of what we think can benefit someone ain't got no price attached to it, nowhere. But yet still we reserve certain things to keep on the marketplace, you know, as business people, like what you see us doing here. This is a business, this is business. You know, I would say it's a very inexpensive package when you understand how much you have to pay outside of your playing fee and your accommodations. But we're going to feed you to it. I tell food you're getting breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And when you understand the package and the amount, you're going to say, wow, okay, that's very inexpensive, because we try our best to accommodate our people as much as possible. But at the same time, you have to have a business mind. Yeah. So I prefer being in this business here than going selling tires.
Yes,
Or going doing something else that is not benefiting to someone as it relates to, you know, bringing them closer to their Godhood.
All
right.
Well, give thanks, my Lord, yeah, for, you know, all the work that the eye is doing. You know, give thanks for the eye's confidence and courage, and, you know, the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that you share, the time that you put into it, the thought, the intention behind it all. You know, it's a blessing for us, and you will be blessed, you know, for the gift that you give to the world, because it's impacting a lot of people. You have a lot of subscribers and you've been doing it for a while. So I'm sure you've touched a lot of lives in a positive way. So give thanks, my Lord.
I appreciate love it, King.
Yes, my Lord. And also I wanted to say, you know, on the website, you can find the chalice. Rastafari.
Yes,
I have on black and red. I have on red and black. Yeah. So
yeah,
on the same page, but, you know, give thanks, my Lord, for the cooperation. You know, give thanks for the eye strength. Yeah, and, you know, I pray that Jah will continue to bless the eye and you know, bless the works of the eye hands and of the eye mind and the words of the eye mouth, meditation of our heart, you know, be acceptable in His sight. You know, Jah, Rastafari. Yes, royal family. Give thanks again. This is the African Liberation Network. I'm the host, Honorable Prophet Daniel. Give thanks for the presence of our, you know, royal guests, Honorable Priest Isaac. Yeah, blessings to the Iron family and to the Priest Isaac's Holistic Institute. Yeah, and, you know, blessings to the Antigua family, Bobo, Shanti, and otherwise still, you know, the Rastafari family, all the people of Antigua, you know. And yeah, we're just still up there. Give thanks again, my Lord, and give thanks for all the viewers. I don't know if the eye wants to, you know, bless us with a prayer still to close it.
Yes, my Lord. Well, since we open with the creed, I will seal with it and give thanks again. And of course, yeah, I really appreciate the moment and yeah, the forum, and give thanks even for making sure that Bobo Shanti, you know, have a structure where we can even come together and talk together. You know, I mean, that's a mystic thing even in this time. So give thanks for the powers that you bring through as well. You know, even the choir practices and these different things. Yeah, of course, as you know, a lot of ones delight in it. There are many ones that yearn for these little things here. So give thanks that you put that out, and of course with consistency. Yeah, my Lord, blessed Lord. Yeah, well, I just ask for reverence. We seal up with the international creed, my Lord. Give thanks. I see I have 1023. That's the time I was born, you know, but in the day. Blessed Lord. Yeah. Yes, royal reverence, Holy Manuel Eyes, Rastafari. Glory be to our Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy One of creation, as Jah was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, Jehovah without end. Selassie, Jah, Rastafari. Give thanks, blessed be the tie that bind our hearts in one creation love. Fellowship of kindred minds is like the that above. Give thanks for the unity and love. The Black Christ Congress moving on from lowland to highlands to higher lands at this hour, cutting and clearing. All skillful guidance to the shadow hours, where the Most High rise us to cut and clear and do His will in righteousness. Holy Emmanuel, Selassie,
Jah,
Rastafari. My Lord, blessed Lord.
My Lord, blessed heart of love, honorable. Love to the royal family. Love to all the YouTube watchers and listeners, you know, and love to Congress. Love to Black people.